Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette and this is my channel Evolve with Monette. I am so happy to have you here sharing some energy with me today. I'm a professional intuitive empath, a chef, an author, an artist, and an all-around life path creative. And now that we know each other, I want to jump into the video. Didn't realize that I had my fan on. That happens sometimes. It's so tricky. You're here, you're recording, and then all of a sudden you're hot. And it happens. Ask any YouTuber. um, what I want to talk to you about today are lessons on grief. Earlier tonight, I was talking to a friend. She had reached out, and we had recently both lost a friend over the holidays. I made a video about it a couple weeks ago. The friend that I lost, his name was Bob DiMarzio, and he helped me to set up my channel a couple of years ago. And there are a couple things I want to talk about in this video. Making the most of the time you have here, saying everything you need to say to the people that you love, lessons on grief, and how it comes in waves. So stay tuned if you want to explore some of those or if it's relevant for something you are going through. Bob was an artist, and though I made a video, I don't feel like I properly eulogized him. He was an artist and a creative. He was a tourist son. He was a musician, and I will link one of his videos that he made. Beautiful music over sunsets that he went and took. He loved drones and all gadgets, and was a weird, funny little man, but huge. Like, he had a huge presence. Now, here's the thing. As I was talking to my friend tonight, we were just chatting about him and both laughing about how we felt that he was giving us help with whatever things we needed because he was really bossy. So now he just gets to boss from the other side without, any compunction, without reservation. He can just say whatever he wants to say. Um, he would have lots of opinions about what's going on with my channel currently. All kinds of things. He was very structured, and I am not. So that was something that we would go round and round about. But he was like so good in a pinch, and he even did the photography and the videography, a drone, and the whole thing for my wedding. He was super duper duper talented. Now, what I realized is tonight we're just chatting, and what happened was emotion. You've got me feeling emotions, and not in a romantic way, but it welled up in me. Now, I'm on chat with my friend, so it's not like she can hear this in my voice, but I had to tell her I have to go because I'm ready to cry about Bob now. Seems rather dramatic, right? But it was weird. I've cried about it, but this wave of deep sadness and regret that I'll never get to have another conversation with him about YouTube or about politics or about whatever, and that he won't get to see things that are happening in my life that he spoke over me and wished for me come to fruition. Now, as an empath, an intuitive, an energy reader, I completely understand that he is here. Not necessarily with me right now, but that he is definitely still present and pops in and out with thoughts and ideas. So that's how your loved ones communicate with you. It's very real. But what I realized is that not only did I miss him, but I was mourning the time that I won't get to spend with him. And it's so interesting because when loved ones pass, don't you often find yourself reflecting about how you didn't value them enough while they were here? And don't you self flagellate, beat yourself up about that? I certainly have. Bob would send emails, and he was like, an older gentleman. So you guys know your parents, your grandparents, and they'll send you, like, just inundate you with stuff, and you're like, I could care less. Now sometimes it was wonderful koans or wise proverbs, and sometimes it was political stuff that I could have genuinely cared less about. And I remember there were a few emails that went unanswered, and after he passed, things started popping up in my recommended things that he would have liked, a video of his. Um, I went and searched my email and I read all of the unanswered emails about things that I didn't care about in the moment. And I really thanked him. And some of it was so poignant for the journey I'm on in my life. And those are things he would send me without ever knowing what was going on. I want you to reflect about who you have in your life, a loved one that's passed. If you've clicked on this video, you didn't just do it for curiosity, you did it because you've been touched by loss. And so I want to speak to your loss and the way that it comes in waves. Eulogize the person that you love while they're here. Let them know, I freaking adore you. You've touched my life. You are invaluable. But also give yourself permission to experience the waves when they come. As I was preparing to make this video, I get a lot of my readings and intuitive nudgings through songs, which is so ironic because I absolutely cannot sing. But I love music. And like Bob, I played several instruments. Bob played many instruments as well. So I understand music. I can read music. And I heard the reason I'm speaking about music is because there's another language. And okay, the metaphor that they're saying is that learning how to hear your loved ones who have crossed over is like learning how to read music. At first, it seems like a bunch of lines on the paper and it makes absolutely no sense. But when you see it, the first time you get a real glimpse, it becomes like magic. It leaps off the paper. You can read the harmonies and you can see the staccato and the legato. You know what an eighth note is. You know how to make inflection and how to tell a story through lines and squiggles. And that's what happens with our communication with our loved ones. They start to communicate with us like music. I think this might be a little energy from Bob because I feel overwhelmed. Grieving comes in waves, guys. We don't always finish it neatly like a sandwich. It is something that gets tucked away until we can manage the next wave. But you will get through it. I believe the universe is gracious and God even more so. And he does give us grace for our place. And so sometimes you're not in the place where you can handle all of that at once, but you can handle it in little bits and pieces. And your loved ones, I want to also clarify, are not always right next to you. We've all heard of seances, and I've been to a couple myself and had loved ones come through. Another story for another video. But our loved ones are not always right there with us. They have their own work to do. They have their own hills to climb. And I don't mean like they've got work to do. I don't think they're punching a clock on the other side. So don't get me wrong. But they are evolving through whatever lessons they've got to there. And they have deeper insights. And I think they pop in and they give us a little help and a little nudge and a little advice sometimes. And they pop out. I don't think they're just right by you, sleeping next to you in your bed. But cherish and embrace those times when they do come in. Because what you're getting is divine connection and information. You're getting information that's going to help you navigate through your life because they have a little bit clearer view from the other side. And so even though there's grief and sadness that may wash over you, there is also enlightenment and opportunity for real growth if you lean in a healthy way and you listen. I don't want you to get lost and swept away because just like waves, there can be undercurrents, and grief is certainly a rip current. It can take you in a direction you didn't expect and you didn't see coming. You have to manage your grief, and I think the waves is part of how. Gentle waves that are lapping the shore, but waves nonetheless, and sometimes they crash, and sometimes it feels like a tsunami. But I want you to try to process it in a healthy way. And if you are feeling lonely and missing a loved one, and you feel like you didn't say all the things you need to say, or you didn't read all the emails that you should have read, I want you to forgive yourself. And I want you to go back and read them. And I want you to out loud say as you're doing it, reading it, talking to them, or saying words to another family member or friend about them. Say, I acknowledge you, I love you, I appreciate you for what you did in my life, and I ask you to leave your legacy with me, meaning infuse in me one of your better traits, your best traits, something that you had figured out while you were on this earth so that I can carry it forward, and in that way, you live forever. I was a preschool teacher for many years, and the movie Coco, when I saw it, I thought this is brilliant. Though I wasn't teaching when that movie came out. I mean, well, I guess I'm always teaching, but not children. And so I wasn't teaching when that movie came out. I was working with my adult clientele at that time, but I remember watching it and being so touched at the way that it's detailed to leave a legacy, the way that we need to remember our loved ones that crossed over to keep their energy alive. If you haven't watched that movie, I would highly, highly recommend to stream it on whichever service or platform you have. It's not just for kids, and it was so meticulously done. It's beautiful to watch, but moreover, the theme and the passage and the crossing over and the energy keeping alive are so poignant and relevant to this conversation. Sometimes the cartoon, as they say, and a little child will lead them. Sometimes the cartoons are better than the shows we are streaming on Netflix, y'all. But I want you to spend some time educating yourself in whatever way resonates with you. It doesn't have to be watching Coco. It doesn't have to be reading old emails. It can be in whatever way works for you. But speak to your loved one who's crossed, and then speak to yourself and forgive yourself if you weren't perfect. I had a client recently reach out to me, and she was beside herself as a wave of grief was washing over her. She had a husband, and that husband passed. It was an ex-husband. He wanted to be with her for many years, she said. Many, many years, 20 plus, and she would just shun him. He passed away like 54 or so. And she was beside herself when she called. And she said, I'm a terrible person. Why did I reject him? Why? I've never loved anybody like him, and I don't think he loved anybody but me, but we just weren't good in that moment. And I advised her to forgive herself because he knew that he loved her and will be with her. And actually, what was revealed in that reading was that he will be assisting her in finding love as she moves forward very shortly, actually, which she was just absolutely not into. And I'll give you guys an update on that. But what I only bring that up because I don't, sometimes I will talk about my clients and things like that. But this one to me feels completely anonymous and safe. But I just want you to understand that dynamic. If you've been her and you have felt like, why did I make the decision I made? Why did I not reach back? Or why did I not answer every single email? Or why did I not tell them how much I love them? You can't let that weigh you down in this life because you have living for them to do. And that's what we need to do, is get on with the business of living, because soon enough we all have to figure out how we cross over. And not to be macabre, guys, but it's true. It's just the reality of our life. In living there is death. And so these loved ones that pass give you a quick study on how to process and how to be better and to accelerate your life, to dig into your deeper self and to maximize your potential. Finally, I want you to thank them for what they did, because if they left an imprint on your heart that makes you question, why wasn't I better? It's not just a question that's left to linger. It's a question you can answer, not with one answer as an explanation, but in living your life, you answer that question. You live better. Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. So if a loved one has left and you didn't feel like you did enough, now you know. And you're free, and you will do better. I'm so glad that you guys shared some energy with me today. This one's a tough one because I'm still walking through this lesson. My commitment as a teacher is to always bring to you what I'm learning, to be vulnerable at times when it's necessary, but above all, to teach. Join me next time, and we will continue to really evolve together.